Sunday school charting. Welcome to another day in the Trader's Crib. Now, can you guys see my screen? Because I'm making sure.
Yes.
Okay. Because I don't know why I'm seeing different windows all of a sudden. All right. So I'll leave that there. All righty. Thank you, Jasenia. How y'all doing? Let's get jump into it. Um, Sunday. We're gonna keep this one straight to the point and kind of short because that's what I need to do. Take out the security. Um, because I have amazing news. Y'all gonna flip, right? So I announced my engagement. Y'all like, yay. Um, but I actually also decided to just get it over with and get married. Yay! And just get it over with. So this weekend is part of that. And I am going to keep this call to the point today and further plan off my transition with my life. The transcript's not going anywhere. But for y'all married folks out there, y'all just know I ain't got nothing else to say. All right. But yay, we're not gonna waste too much time on that. And then we'll go from here. All right. So as far as wrapping up last week goes. Give me a second here. All right. Moving this folder over. Okay. So starting out with Forex Factory, we're just gonna jump into fundamental, get it done, chart, teach, and do the doggone thing. All right. And then we'll come next week into better mindset. Cause I'm just excited. I ain't gonna lie. I'm on an elevated, like, yay. so just just let me have it. All right. So okay, so last week we had a good week last week, a lot of run up, and then towards the end of last week we like fizzled out, and I actually didn't trade Friday. And moving into this coming week, as we look at Forex Factory, right? We are starting off Monday and Tuesday with no real red folders, and then going into Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday with red folders. And I think I commented on that last week as well. So we ended strong, fizzled out a bit last week. We had a lot of repo, a lot of activity. We got great news. The feds are probably going to cut interest rates. Yay! Start a new year. Yay! I'm y'all. I'm on something else. So, then had a great bullish run. A lot of us profited off of that really well. And now we're going to come into this holiday week where I do think things are going to fizzle. So I hope and pray that most of you guys made a lot of your Christmas money early, because I'm not sure how much more into this holiday with Christmas being on like a Monday, as I pull down the Forex Factory calendar here, how we're going to, continue to push a rally. I do think then we'll look at it on a chart and we'll see the signs that are already showing us that we can form and just kind of fizzle and chop. And we're going to have to put on a different mindset, right? For when the market is in this environment. So when we're in a choppy mindset, we're going for short term, small like moves. We want to use verticals if we can use verticals. Only if we're expecting something and we're looking at our news, we're not expecting something too big. So unless you're already in straddles and you bought a lot of time and you're just holding them, fine. But we're gonna kind of stay away from those. We'll do short term calls and puts, right? But we're gonna keep them like not maybe not a lot of time frame so we can catch that day volatility move and just be in and out. So that's the type of mindset you just want to be able to like switch your mindset accordingly based on the environment that we're impulsive. We know we got to run up. We're holding. We're doing good. As soon as we get to chop, that's definitely when we're gonna have to, or we run up into that level of support or resistance, and we're gonna consolidate. That's when we're going to um put on more of a scalper's hat, right? And stay in the market minimally and not really hold. All right. So as I refresh here, it's fooling on me. All right, here we go. So CNBC, I just do a brief recap of news that came out over the weekend on these Sunday school charting calls. So we got recent data shows AI job losses are rising, but the numbers don't tell the full story. And usually there's a lot of just like they need a job, so they just do this, right? So here we are. Sometimes we do have really good news to look into, but I'm just glancing over headlines, right? You guys know I do not dive super deep unless I have to, but I always stay diligent for that news that's kind of like what's going on, who's secretly doing what, right? So we got Tesla locked in, WWE like standoff and the Scandinavian analysis. Okay, so this EV competition. I don't really care about the battle. I just really care about who wins. We'll see if what else comes out with that. But right now, we're just kind of chilling. Going into the holidays, at least from the United States perspective, or from most of us perspective. Uh, but Christmas time, jolly time, all of this stuff. So going into the charts, we don't have too much news unless somebody's doing something real crazy. I usually most of Friday I was on the continuous chart because of the data that was lacking. I did clear the chart by the time we got off the call on Friday. Um, and so here we go, looking at a fresh. I only got one line on here. We can leave it because it's the top of the top of these wicks. But overall, we're looking at, a little bit of run up. We got to use a continuous right now. We got to use a continuous to chart. Okay. Because your ESH, your those March contracts, they're not going to have as much data in the back for you to chart as we are pressing up against old previous highs and making potentially wanting to make new ones again. Right. So we're all the way back here into March of 2022, right? And that's where the candlestick sat last on Friday. If we come out to the weekly, let me make sure I don't do my weekly analysis. All right. So you guys can see we're right into that close of that weekly fair value gap, right? So it looks like we do have one more giant peak to get through before we make all-time highs. It's charter's choice based on how many lines you want in your chart. If you want to mark that high, I would take it from the tweezer, like tweezer top ish candles that are sticking out like up here. I would take it from there, the bodies. That's where I would mark the high. Don't really worry about the wicks right now. We're gonna watch current price action and we'll start to, you know, figure out how it wants to break through there and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, we just want to know, are you breaking through here or not? Right. So we're now deciding if we're gonna break, and continue past this peak. We just got there though. So because we just got there and the Christmas holiday and the fundamentals and everything that we just went over, we're gonna put all the synchronicities together and we're gonna clearly see that we are going to be chopping up a little bit here, right? We're going to be chopping. So with that in mind, there we go. Um, with that in mind, we're going to, want to be cautious this week and keep a scalper's mindset as we transition to the new year. All right. So we just tell that from the weekly. No additional lines needed. If you want to put some support lines, the reason why I'm neglecting them, or the reason why I may feel like I'm neglecting them, because I know that they're there. Once you start to look at the chart, you know that they're there. Because this pattern right here, this pin on the weekly that we push price out at right here, I know that this level is going to be key level of support. So we can acknowledge that, right? But I know we're at that level. So I'm just gonna make it known. So we'll make these green. And then so what I would do is we're gonna mark the weekly. Let's make it a solid line, the 47.92, right? And then our next weekly goal. Now, if you want to count this, what I'm trying to say, this little shoulder on the weekly, you could, but I know we're gonna come in here with some dailies and some other time frames, so I leave it. All right, I leave it. I go for just the strongest like peaks. Okay, That's all I want on this time frame. Then this pattern is very key, that it's a breakout. So we know we're probably not going to test here too much, but we will acknowledge. I'm deciding right now. Sorry if I'm like wavering into a line. I'm looking at the distance kind of like between. Let me zoom in. I'm looking at this pattern where we have the breakout. I'm looking at the distance between the two fair value gaps. I'm deciding from there based on distance, what is better to go off because I'd rather take the more key support. So that process does come out if you were thinking that. So just to let you guys know. So I will take the fatter one. The fatter one's always a stronger one. But you distance helps me just kind of calculate like how far I may want to be bounce, retrace in here, and hold this level and things like that, break through it. I'm thinking of things like that. So that's just my process. So we will go in and we'll put a solid green line down here at the opening of that weekly fair value gap. And then coming down to the daily, right? We have our nice breakout run up, smooth sailing pattern. We have this chop, and this is what I think we're gonna come back into, a little bit of chop before breaking past this weekly high that we just came to, right? So we're at the holidays, so it kind of lines up that we may take a little bit of a pause looking at the chart, right? Got squeeze all the way back here because we got to do a lot of squeezing now because beta data is just way back here. All right, which kind of lets you know that we're probably ready for it to break through it. Just letting you know. I do not always chart the weekly. Gene, to answer your question, the continuous. I didn't see your question, so I'm sorry. I don't. So what I'm doing is what I'm realizing. Let's go to let's clear this up right now. Let's clear this chart. All right, and let's look at our March contract. I always use the weekly time frame, but when it comes to the contracts, depending on the time of the year that they transition, you're going to find yourself having no choice but to go to the continuous. And this is one of those moments. So what I would say is always use the contract that's currently in. If you're using TradingView, meaning that if you're trading futures on TradingView, let's back all the way out. Let's make it real clear. If you're using TradingView and you're trading futures, you want to use the current contract date, like March, that we're currently trading, because we're December, we just transitioned from December contract just expired, so now we're using March. All right. You always want to use that chart until you can't, because the data won't support it from the past. That's when you will use a continuous to chart. The level's going to go the same. It's lined up long, and that's where we're at. So if I pull right now, yeah, and you see visually for the weekly, or visually from the weekly perspective, this is the ESH contract. And now that we have reached the peak, I don't have any more data. So now that I'm going to the ES exclamation point, now I have data to allow me to continue to chart to figure out levels of where to take profit and things like that. So it's like you use a current one till you can't. All right. So now we can come back. Now we can get deeper into it. But I do think we're going to stall. So we're coming down to the 2 hour, and we're looking at how we just, if this isn't a flag, then I don't know what it is. Right. Where and how did you find your SPY? Mine looks different, has a flag as the symbol. Are you talking about Can you jump on mic, Yesenia? I need you to clear this up.
Yeah, mine has a flag. Yours has an S. I must be under the wrong one.
I could be using a different one. Now we
Okay.
about to learn something new together. Uh, which one?
That's
So
right
I'm
there.
using this one.
SPA. Okay, I'm using
New
the one
York
right under
Stock
it.
Exchange ARCA. You're using this one.
Yeah.
So what I pay attention to, so another trading view lesson. So on the right hand side, when you're in the search symbol that we're in, you see you have multiple SPY symbols. We see that they're all S&P 500 ETF. And then on this right hand side is where you see who's sourcing it, who's sourcing the chart.
Okay.
So in this one, we're using Stock Crypto Oracle. Sure. In this one, we're using New York Stock Exchange ARCA.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yep, no problem, because it's trader's choice. I'm not gonna say you have to be forced to use either one. It's just as long as you know where they're coming from, and you can play with them between the two and figure out which one's gonna work best for your training plan. No problem. So let's come back over here. All right, 2 hour. Let's see. Let's go back out to the daily. Let's get these daily before I jump, because I really want to get into, because I know we're gonna chop. I just know it. That's why I'm like just so ready to look at my 2 hour. But let's do the whole process. Since we know we're gonna break up and we don't have any fair value gaps that we see over here, we'll be charting top side like peaks, right? So we'll be like, you could chart this one as a daily if you wanted to. We'll make it red, we'll make it dashed. But me personally, I will go for the higher one for the daily time frame, because I know I'm gonna come in here in the 2 hour and find some levels. All right. If you want to further find some levels in between for your weekly, in between your weekly lines, find another daily nice one. Well, you'll need to acknowledge this one because this is a pretty decent shoulder in comparison to this one. The distance is what you're looking at. If you quickly can see, oh, I may be able to make a lot of money in small, like it's over like, $10, $15, then acknowledge it, especially on daily, because you wanna you may want that move, and what I'm saying is it may have more of a bounce potential or something like that. So you want to kind of gauge that. But that will be daily lines on the top side as resistance. And then because this is current price, it's always just nice to just default to the fair value gaps. It's just the easiest thing to do to chart the support side of the chart. So we're going to just do that. Okay. And so that's daily. So that's marking the open and the close of the daily fair value gap. All right. And then, of course, we have the order block that we can see here. And then the weekly line that we just charted at 45.69. So now we come down in the 2 hour. And we got some good levels in here from the daily that we see where price may stay stuck. So now we can see even more reason why price would stay stuck. Because it's right at the weekly, it's supported by a daily. The next one, how does it want to get out of this zone? So we're gonna watch carefully. It's really, really tight right now. So there's not much else to chart from a 2 hour perspective. We have a very, very, very small fair value gap with kids in it. So yes, that means a short-term scat. So like I said, this is a choppy part. So now you're putting on the same theology with the fair value gaps and things like that. But if you're gonna play next week, I would play, well, we're always, as day traders, you always want to play a smallest time frame or smaller time frames. But let's change the color here. Take this green line out. 2 hour to 15 minute is what I would say. You want to chart to play the 2 hour, 15 minute, but you're gonna be taking small moves and you want to play more like two fair value gaps, if that makes sense. So you want to go like I'm trying to the best way for me to, as I chart it here, to see it for myself, explain what I'm gonna do. Let me put in my 2 hour line. So let's finish up here. We got 2 hour support. Okay, so that bottom lines up daily, so we don't have to worry about that. This is a true entry to the 2 hour that's been beaten up a few times. So we'll keep that line there. Okay, so now what you're doing, we got support and resistance from the 2 hour perspective using fair value gaps. How would I trade this? For one, it's risky, but you can guarantee price coming back up to this fair value gap based on our theory of kids in the fair value gap. Measure the distance. Is it worth your time? $11 could be worth your time. That's just hot. That's how you're gonna have to just shrink your mind to a smaller time frame to capitalize this, and you're gonna be in real quick in and out if you're playing the futures with these moves. Okay, so $10 up, take profit. Good, because this is a small 2 hour fair value gap, so we can kind of believe price is gonna run up a little bit. Not is as you can see, it's not enough to break out of nowhere. It is just enough to catch small time liquidity. So do not hold. All right. And then if we come down to the 15 minute and further figure out what's happening here, we see the 15 minute left us on Friday with price trying to come back down. Where two, I would assume to be up the 2 hour fair value gap entry line here at 47.58 because I have no physical fair value gaps. I do have order blocks, smaller little ones that are going to probably catch price a little bit, but it could still come all the way down to just retrace into this because we know that this is an entry to a 2 hour fair value gap that hasn't been like fully big. I think it has more room to be pushed into on the bottom side because this is a big run up. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Right? And it could what price could potentially do. So if you want to come along Oracle prediction, we can come down, bounce off again, come back up, catch that 2 hour this liquidity better, then come back down. And it's just, oh, I can just see just the agony. So I'll play futures. I wouldn't really play options, unless you're doing some verticals because it depends on the stock you're on and if it's gonna move. Like SPY, I would say I wouldn't play. I wouldn't play SPY because I don't think you'll make enough money and enough time for you to capitalize off that option the way you wanted to. Now, if you're okay with like a $15 scalp, then great. There's not because I started with that. So like do that, but just know that that's what it is. And so don't hold too long being overly hopeful if that's gonna, play out. We'll come into the SPY chart and we'll clear it. We'll start fresh. All right. And so we see from last week immediately, just from the daily, we'll start with the daily just to get a recap of last week of how price ran up, made a nice abandoned baby looking doji candle up here, and then price is down. A setup for a nice evening star pattern for the reversal for the next candle for it to definitely push down into this fair value get more. Could potentially, could not, could bounce up. I don't know how it wants to do. It's daily. And so it can push in here more. That's all I'm getting at. Not saying close it, not the nope, push. So we're just trying to figure out how the candles want to draw themselves. So I can potentially see that. I can potentially, and I don't know if the push is just going to be wick or how much body or whatever. But I see the potential with this setup already of rejection. We already know this is a setup for a reversal pattern. is it going to continue? And if so, how far is it continue? And if it doesn't break a certain level, we don't have a long-term reversal. It's called a pullback, which is probably what we'll have because we got this order block sitting right here. It's just pullback consolidation time. Because we're getting interest rate cuts, y'all. So we got to be pulling back to go to the upside. We just can't be going down. It's yippee-ki-yay. Right? Time to celebrate and get our money back. And stop getting emails from all subscriptions that they're increasing the price because the interest rates are too high. Right? So as we settle into that news, I think we're going to see the chart preparing for that. So for that next level breakup, and I just don't know. Look, y'all, this is where I go biblical. 40 days, 40 nights. 40 days, 40 nights. We've seen the chart chop. Let me come back out to the daily. For 40 days and 40 nights, where it gets real back here. This is real ugly. All right. So before it's ready to make some good moves and that support that can't be broken again, we need time for that foundation to form. We just came up from a nice W, so we need time for a new foundation to hold us. Thank you. So thank you, Claudia. We're going to, and I'm feeling all this energy with these charts right now too. Because that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like we're starting anew. We need a new foundation. Y'all hear me, right? So hold us up as we go. Y'all, I'm crazy. All right, but it's true. Like, it's crazy how I can relate this to the chart. This is amazing. Who knew marriage and charting would go together? I guess I'm gonna be the one to discover it and sell it to the world, right? Through the trader's crib, because it's the crib. Get it? It's how anyway, y'all already know. All right. Let me just stop. So, the new way of trading. All right. For all the wives, mothers, and all that, you know. All right. So as we thanks, G. As we push up here, I do think we're gonna need that support that's coming in so we can make the new highs that we know this has been a long time coming. Coming out to the weekly chart. Look at that. This is a weekly spot, right? We had our big dip, which is what the world needs. We always need a reset. That's all it is. Reset. Because then I told y'all this. Oh, man. It's crazy. I actually did say this last year. I was like, they're not going to call it a recession until after it's over. Oh, man. Man. Wow. This is crazy. So anyway, we learned how to trade through recession, so this is really our time. So we're breaking that. If y'all can't see it in the chart, I don't know what to tell you, because it's done it before, right? Reset, breakout, reset, breakout, reset to continue to high, but with a big enough foundation. And this one's just large, so I guess it's a whole new era we stepping into. So we just gonna go for a moon, well, a whole new, because that's just real I see coming. So once we test this high, 4080 looking like on SPY weekly, we're gonna be in a whole new territory. Y'all ready? Yeah. New beginnings, new economy flow with all the knowledge we got from all this. Because, I also know this is like the last call before the new, no, not the last call, but Sunday school for the year. So it's a little symbolic in a lot of ways right now. A lot of ways. But yeah, that's how I'm looking at this chart, y'all. So I'm going to open up the floor to any other tickers y'all want to look at so we can stay focused and on point for what you guys may want to trade for this week entering the holidays. I'll leave futures and SPY is like, y'all see the grand picture. What do y'all want to dive into together? Adobe. Got it. Just as y'all just let them flow into the chat and I'll just make a note. For those, so you want a conservative target, so HD, QQQ, NVIDIA. Okay, let me get my pencil. And then I hear you loud and clear, Esther. We can go over a target before we dive into it, and I'll start with Adobe. How does that plan work? Give you a spot exit plan. Then we'll go down and do Adobe, Gene, Adobe, NVIDIA, QQQ. I saw QQQ on there. We got HD. We got thumbs up and we got a yay. Okay, great. Any others that come to mind, y'all let me know. All right, cool. So cool. All right, spot exit. All right. What are you already thinking, Esther? And let's piggyback off of that.
Well, hi everybody. Congratulations. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hi. Actually at the end of the day on Friday, I was like, do I stay? Do I go? And I thought, you know what? I really felt like with the whole reading about the shuffling of the S&P 500 at the end of the day and the dividend payout, I figured it might be worth holding through the roller coaster ride of that. So my target that I calculated my exits for at this moment is 472 because I'd figured it's not going to take too much to get there, and I would actually have at least one contract in profit, at least one set of contracts in profit, and then have basically no losses or flat from the other contracts I'm in. So if I just want to get out, right? But I'm hoping it bounces. I don't want to take a chance and have it bounce to think it's going to bounce higher because that's what got me kind of into this mess. So wishful thinking because I was really targeting 475. I don't know if we have the juice to get there this week.
Right. We thought the run up would continue in a Friday just a wee
That's
bit
okay.
more. And it always so I had Esther, this is the learning curve that I think all traders come to. Like, when it's price is about to exhaust, when what do you need to do to your mind to say, don't hold anymore? Or like just like because we know it's done and like we know it's almost done and like or like what so what I let me just tell you what I come up with so far. So far I'm like, okay, I know it's about to run out. So let me pause. Let me pause a little longer. So I've started there. Let me pause longer before re-entering after it hits that target for this moment because even though I can see the run up, it may not want to do that. And then if I push too hard, I just never know when it's gonna come back, and I'm stuck like this because we've done this a few times, and it took me a few times before I had to say what is gonna. So I started with the pause method and just wait a little bit longer. That's been working a bit because I ain't really trade Friday, and I got
Yeah, I'm
out.
jealous about that. Yeah,
And
I'm
like
jealous of that.
because I was just like, no, man, you got to the peak, you hit the peak. Like this is what I'm getting at, like with the weekly chart.
Yeah.
Like you hit the peak, like you see it. So what else do you want?
I want to get out without losing my shirt. Is what I want.
So what I'm saying,
So,
why do we get back in when we see it
oh, I'm not
right
talking about
there at
getting
the
back in.
peak?
I'm talking about getting out of what I'm in right now.
I got you.
I'm just saying that, because I
So,
really don't like the numbers that are going out right now.
but I'm also getting the psychology too. So to get us to get out of this position, like preventing it from the beginning. Right.
Right.
So now to correct it, 472 I think is great. But I
mean, if it's
do
too high,
acknowledge this. I do think it may be too high. 471.06.
Okay. I can do that.
Because I don't know how tight we want to chop. I do think it can go through here, and we're on a 2-hour. I see a 2-hour fair value gap. I see the wick. It's the same move that I just showed on ES. that we may go back up here with the day. So assess the fundamentals of that day, the momentum of that day. I wouldn't say it's not a bad target. You just need the other confluences on your side to hit it. So you got to then ask yourself, can you, like, how you want to manage it for your schedule, Esther, going in the next week. That's what I'm coming all the way back. Sorry, but I'm coming all the way back to get to the mindset to manage it properly, because I get where you're at, but it's a tight squeeze. And can you, because you can
I don't
go
know
for
if it's going to have the volume to
472.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can go for 472, but in the interim, I would say you need to be watching it to see how the market is giving you the setup play. Because if it's not giving you the good setup, you may want to take profit. Because, like, what I'm saying, that acknowledging when the exhaustion is happening, because that's what saved me a lot when I'm sitting here intraday, but I'm sitting here. I know not everybody got that leverage. So, like, I'm sitting here, so I'm able to see when it's like, nah, today you're not going to make it. And I pull out. Right? So what are you going to do? You're either going to go and hold forward, or find a day that you don't have to go to work or whatever, that you can sit to figure out if it's worth going that high. If you can't watch it, I will only go for the fair value gap and be done. And whatever it stops you out at, whether it's a small loss, whatever, it's done, because you know that liquidity is there. This is another gap in between here if you really chart it, but we know how time is not on your side.
No,
Because
exactly.
that's the problem. So, like, with time not being on your side, what days this week can you manage to get to 472 appropriately? And that's just how I'm gonna leave it. Sorry to say that in a mouthful, but I feel like I had to bring that psychology together so you could, because I can't just give you a target, because it's kind of like we don't know. We have 2 days of no red folders.
And it's not worth it with Theta to hold that many contracts wait till it decides to get to 472.
And
Because
then,
I only
like,
have
we
2
can
weeks on the
have no
contract.
red
So
fold. We can have a no red folder, and it still does let me just do a liquidity grab. But I don't know your schedule to tell you to watch the candle set up, because you know what to look for in the moment, because it's a short move.
yeah,
But if it
I can watch
doesn't
the
want to
open
take it and
tomorrow.
it misses you by 50 cents, then I'd be,
I'd be cursing against butter. Right. Nobody wants that.
and then you got to hold another day.
No.
Exactly.
I will readjust to 471. I think at the most it'll be just get me out, and I can reposition when I have more time. But I can watch it more. So that works for me.
Don't
Thank you.
overshoot when you know it's the top. That's all I'm just
Right.
trying to get at.
Right. Seriously. All right. You got it.
Because I'd be doing
Thank
that
you.
too. No problem.
Yeah.
All right. So Adobe. Y'all, I'm telling you, it's so easy to do. It's so easy to do. And it's like, golly, how am I stop doing this? So let's see if we can get another example in Adobe. So let's come out to the weekly. We're coming down into a weekly fair value gap. Or we pushed into it just from off rip of what we see in our indicators. And we are being supported, though, by a really thick weekly order block. So we have the fair value gaps, and I can make these lines when I'm trying to go through this quickly. I don't be worrying about the colors and the patterns the same way. But you guys get the point. All right. So here we go. Because I don't really have much at the top. What we got over here? Scoop. We have this high that we got to come back and break, because this is the weekly. So we're down here now. So the reason why I'm acknowledging this current top is because of how the pattern formed. So we got to come back up this, break this, in order to retrace into the previous highs here, right? So we always start current price and come back. but I would go with here. All right. For weeklies. And then for dailies, this is 663, like breaking 633, breaking past this high. And then coming down the bottom, we have this coming to the daily. We see the fair value gap that's not finished into this lower area as well. So that's 584. We're pushing down as low as 565. And that's where we're now see a daily gap as well in there. That's the opening, 568. Okay. And then from there, once we break through all that, but we're really supported here. So I do think with this big gap up, we'll probably bounce off this support to fill this gap up. And I think we could probably do it in one day, knowing Adobe, if Adobe really wants it. Now, Adobe may be one. This may be a rebel to look at for next week because we have our rebels that just gonna do what the hell they want to do. And we have a significant drop because of their earnings. The gap is about $20. If Adobe wants to do an Adobe day, then it can do the whole $30 in a day just to fill that liquidity gap. It does have a gap within the gap. As I'm coming down, I'm on the 2-hour now. All right, you guys see it as it comes up. We're gonna hit this gap. I'm telling y'all, I'm gonna hit this gap. So 610. Okay, so we gotta come here, revisit to enter 592. If y'all want to try to take this gap next week, re-enter 592. That could be a trade to come up. That's if the pre-market gives it to us, because y'all know this can open already here. Then you need to wait for Adobe to take off. Once you get the signal, because this will be a cradle move, which should give it enough steam to run up through here. Could it potentially pull back at 603? Yes, because we have a tweezer bottom dipping down with a wick. Could it potentially bounce a little bit and shake up at 589? Yes, because it just closed another gap with it and it's going to decide and come up. Those are just the warning signs. I know everything's purple right now, but I just wanted to get those levels and where I'm talking about at. So I hope you can see that as you come up and fill this gap to 623 from the 2-hour perspective. So this may be your lucrative trade for this week if Adobe chooses to do the damn Adobe move, because I do love that gap. But just note that there's a gap within a gap. So don't be surprised if you get stopped out a bit and then it has to redecide, because it is we're going into the holidays. So it's there. All right. Any other questions or comments to Adobe? All right, NVIDIA. So with NVIDIA, NVIDIA looks like it's ready to shoot to the moon. So from the weekly perspective, it's way up here. This order block is just getting larger and larger. And I just don't feel like it wants to come down, because that just doesn't seem alignment with the vision of the company and a lot of things moving to the future with the fundamentals that we have, right? So I think some of you guys may be looking to buy and hold long for this. We could potentially position ourselves for long-term holds looking at NVIDIA. It looks like it's building up real nice to potentially take off if you can afford if you have the capital to do it, why not? And then when you come to the daily, and that's without charting anything, we're just going straight chart pattern right now. Coming to the daily on NVIDIA, we clearly see that it's doing another deep cradle to push out, up and out. So we're building up some foundation in order to continue to grow. So that's what we're going to do here. I actually like that one. I should use that. Foundation, continue to grow. That one's really good. So, All right. So that's kind of Nvidia. I like, swing trading concept because I think it's just one of those that are, really has some weight. So, but you can day trade it, come down to the 2 hour for those who may want to day trade. We'll try here. We have a gap at the top that we're pulling towards, so we can always scalp to the gap at $6, $7. We know Nvidia will do that easily. And so that's really the biggest play that I see because you were already in that fair value gap. It has a great setup to finish a fair value gap. It's right at the entry neckline. It's perfect entry setup. So if the pre-market doesn't run on us into next week, then you can probably enter and take this as a small scalp for Nvidia and continue from there. I'm just gonna keep going. And if y'all have a question, y'all just jump in. All right. So we can just keep flowing and moving. So QQQ. So QQQ. We are back here, huh? Weekly. Yeah. We're just so ready for a bull market, y'all. I mean, y'all feel this? Oh my goodness. We can look at Boeing Whitney. Yes, we can. All right. So QQQ looks like it's nice blast off phase. Another one that the way we don't have any, this is all-time high play. So the way you could play an all-time high is you let it run till you see the pullback and just come, see the indecision candle, the pause candle show up and just get out. Long-term holds by time, by lots of time, as we're creating new highs here. So you can just kind of get in and get out accordingly. Hold for as long as you can hold and then just get out. That's really all you're doing. Because I do think QQQ this is a great great run up, great pullback. And it's good, it's thick. So the thicker it is, the stronger the foundation again, the stronger the branches, the roots, all that. So it's pushing up. So again, a nice one to hold to start positioning into bull run mode because the way the charts just look. It looks like it really does want to set it up. And this is not charting, this is not intraday, not on these, because these are new time highs, all-time highs that we're tapping into. HD. HD just make you want to look at this. All right, so HD is clearing this order block. So that order block, I'm extending it out this way just so I can kind of get a better visual. But this order block, it's probably going to continue through. This is weekly. So I see HD continuing up to at least, then this is a weekly gap too. So it's going to finish this block. So that's 367 and we're at 354. So have fun riding that. But I'm pretty sure we'll clear that order block. I think I want the close of the gap red. Sorry, because I like this setup. Hold on, I want to make this chart pretty. This is a nice one. We're going to be looking back at this one for a little bit. And then purple for this gap. And then this is the order block is coming to. I love it. I love it, love it. Because this candle is so strong. Oh my goodness. Because that was where the gap closed and like we broke above that 350. So I actually think we're just going to continue taking it out because it's like an abandoned baby and put the square back. If you guys can, no, actually, let me take the fair value gap indicator off. Boom. Okay. And now you can really, it's like its own little floating abandoned baby cluster just sitting there. It's abandoned kids. There we go. Kids. That's a new one. So I think we're gonna clear that. So I would hold up by like month or 2 months of time, however you want to play it. If you want to go in and out with it, if you want to come in here and look at how it's gonna chop, that's up to you. But we're really in it. So I think it's going to I would go with more time because as you come to the daily, you see we have these little gaps in here, right? 359 to 364. So all of that is going to make it, probably a little bit of a bouncy ride in there. But I think you can play it through with enough time on your contracts. All right. 2 months and take it all. There you go, Esther. That's what I'm saying. Because you never know that day, just whoop, just get it. All right, so Apple. All right, so I'm still holding Apple, y'all, because I saw this. I bet y'all know this is my baby over here. All right. This is my first baby before the dog and the kid. I was on some Apple. So this whole little W setup is why I got in last week with Apple and I bought to January because of like I see it pushing up. So same concept. This is the weekly, it's in the all-time high territory. It already made new all-time highs. It did a nice pullback. It's trying to make more. So I would long-term position yourself for Apple. By take Esther's quote, buy 2 months time and take it all. Hey, we can brand that. So just do it. However you want to play that as well, but we're going up there. There's really not in the chart. I feel like line wise, because it's really just the patterns at this point on some of these. When it's there, I'll chart it for you. Leave it like that. All right. And Boeing, last but not least, final drum roll for the night. Is there any other ones you guys want to do? Final call. But Boeing looks amazing for trying to finally recover itself. So Boeing is running up into this little top week. This is weekly now. So we're already closed. Here we go, Whitney. We're already in that. You know the theory because Whitney over there killing it, y'all. I got in a call Fridays. Exactly. So you already see the signal. So we're probably gonna go here after 273. What's your target for the calls that you got? 273, then reposition, or are you going for the gold and you think it's going to break through? Come on, Whitney. Go on, spill the beans over there, Miss 4600 in the 3 contracts last week. We're just going to pass the queen crown around the trader's crib for y'all queen days and queen weeks that y'all come up here killing it. 275 gap. Oh, she came down small time frame. All right, come on, let's down to the daily. I was still on the weekly. So let's come down to the daily. I see it. It's like right in there. There it is. Y'all see what she see? 265. She said wait, hold on, wait, let me go back. You got 275 calls. Okay, it's a gap. But where are you getting out? What's your target? From Mark. I see this gap, 265 at 275. Okay. So then there's another gap in here. Hold on, let me find it. March 2020, March 2 hour. Okay. I don't see her gap. 270. You said 275, right? Here's one further. You said 20. I'm not far back enough. 2020. You said March 2020. Where am I at? 2021. Keep going. Oh, here we go. There it is. All right. Thank you, Whitney. Just took me a little bit, but we got there. All right. 275, 280. Got it. Boom. Right in flesh. There it is. So coming back over to current price. I see it now. So this is current price. This is the low we're trying to break up to. This is where she's going. This is the gap fill. Nice trade, Whitney. Nice trade. I see it, boo. All right. Shh. Clean. Clean, clean. It's clean. I ain't got nothing to say. It's his textbook clean. You know what's coming next. Right? Any questions? Y'all, did anybody not see what we seen on Boeing? Thank you, Whitney, for that lovely Boeing trade. Alrighty, y'all. If that's it, it's 6 o'clock. We'll switch back to the futures. We'll get a little peek of what's going on. We got a gap off rip. So you guys already know that we're going to do a little wick action down to the downside. And it's going to be, $2, but it's going to do it. Right? So here we go next week. Etching up for now. But we definitely, this candle could be totally red tomorrow. So if there are no other questions or concerns for tonight, you all take care. I will see you guys. I think Wednesday is the next one. Tuesday or Wednesday. Let me double check my own schedule. Y'all see what's happening to me? What? I don't have the page pulled up, but I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. Try to keep these things in the back of my head. Oh, I'm pretty sure it's Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. Okay. So I'm like, all right, thank you. Thank you, Justinian. So I'll see you on Wednesday. You guys trade safe for tomorrow. Keep in mind that you will have some liquidity grabs, but they may not be as impulsive as you think. They may take some time. And I'll give you guys an update. Y'all see me as a new person on Wednesday. So y'all take care. Have a good one. Bye.